I'm Philippa Hawker from The Age, and of course, you really do need no introduction this time, Jane. Interestingly enough, on Easter Sunday, that sugar film took over $1 million at the box office in Australia. Perfect timing. They're now hunting down Mrs. Carey's concert and Bravois, I believe, in your sights as well then. Can I ask you first, just what was it that made, I can see why you're so passionate about healthy food, but what made you think, oh, it'd be a good idea to make a film about it and put myself in a position of being the guinea pig?
Well, I think basically it came about because I was aware that there was such mixed messages in the public space about this particular topic, and I guess with the baby on the way, it kind of fueled this desire to actually find out the truth for myself. And I did discuss different narratives and how we might tell the story, and it seemed the only way to actually find out the truth was for me to do an experiment on myself. I couldn't ask someone else to do it, and I think it had more of a personal touch than just going around and getting talking heads and having quite a scientific, dry documentary. I think what was important to me right from the beginning was how do we make this appealing to people that might not necessarily see a documentary, or people that need to receive this message. I didn't sort of want it just to be on ABC or SBS at 8:30 on a Sunday night, which is no bad thing, but I think the people that need to see this film wouldn't normally see a documentary, so we just tried to make it fun and accessible, and I think that personal element was important.
So that then, the box office must really kind of, tell you that your instincts were right there.
Yeah, I guess what's probably more exciting is that, we started out with, it was a really interesting model. We started out with 23 Q&As planned around Australia. That turned into 66 very quickly. They all sold out very quickly. And then the cinemas that were playing the Q&As decided to run it on as a normal film. So I guess what's heartening to me now is that it's showing in sort of, Rockhampton, Mackay, Burnie in Tasmania, these random places that wouldn't normally see a documentary. It's had much more of a life and be seen by the people that we wanted to see it. So it's, it's certainly headed in the right direction.
But you've got a few targets in this. Did you get legal advice on? Were you worried at all about that?
We did have 5 lawyers look at the film before we put it out. And interesting, actually, I had quite a lot of correspondence with Morgan Spurlock, who did Supersize Me. Initially, he was going to maybe be in the film. I kind of hoped he might be some kind of grand master human lab rat that would oversee my experiment. But he actually studied law before he made that film, because he was in McDonald's themselves and showing their logos and whatnot. And look, all the lawyers sort of said to us, as long as you're telling the truth, which is what I was only, I guess, interpreting labels for people, so I wasn't making up anything. That's how much sugar is in these products. And they also said that, look, maybe 10 years ago they might have aggressively come at me, but now because of social media and whatnot, they'll steer clear, because I guess if Coke came out and sort of said something against the film, it would be on the front page. And that's right. Here's Coca-Cola now. It's their tactic. Very sneaky.
By the way, I'm just going to ask a few questions, and then I'm sure lots of you in the audience will want to ask anything, so I'll hand over to you very soon. The 40 teaspoons number, is that, it's the average? And how did you arrive at that figure? And because it seems, that it's having such a terrible effect on you, and it's also this average consumption figure. Can you tell me how you arrived at it, and just how you were sure that that's what you were having all the time?
Yeah, that was probably, there's been a little bit of criticism of that in the press early on about the film, and it was really quite painful to me, because we spent so long trying to find this number, and it's very tricky. And you understand why once you see how prevalent sugar is in food, and it's hidden in all these foods. It's very hard to actually get an accurate number. So we actually got it from 3 different sources, and one is called the ABARE, which is the Australian Bureau of Agriculture and Resource Economics, and they said there's 63 kilograms per person a year of sugar available, which comes to about 43 teaspoons of sugar. And then there was a nutrition survey that said 19 to 30-year-olds are having about 40 teaspoons, but that includes lactose in milk and also fruit. But we know that we're having about 2 teaspoons of lactose a day and maybe 4 from fruit. And then I found some stats from overseas. So I looked at Canadian teenagers having 45 teaspoons of sugar a day, because we want it to be an international field. And then I found this paper from the UK which said some kids are having 70 teaspoons a day. So you know, I thought 40 was a pretty kind of decent number to land on. But yeah, look, it took a long time to get that right.
And one of the things, I mean, some of it's about individual choices, but some of it is about choices that people can't make for themselves as much, and that's what was so interesting when you went to amateur. I think that was a really powerful element of the film.
Yeah, that's probably the most special part for me. I remember that came about because I did track years ago with Doctor here, and when we finished filming, David Goldberg asked me to come up and stay with him, visit his people in Ramangini, and I was only 24 at the time, and I went up and spent 3 weeks with him there and just had this incredible experience. But I remember how much coke they were having, and the babies were having coke in the bottles and everything. And that's why I thought making this film, I'd like to go back and see what's happened there in terms of, you know, obviously sugar and Aboriginal culture. And again, what's really exciting for us with the film is we've been able to develop an outreach program, so to take it way beyond the life of the film. We've been given money philanthropically to do a school study program. There's an app, there's a school screening tour around the country, but we've also been able to establish the Mayuru Foundation, which is to raise money so that they can reinstate and keep going with the great work they were doing. And we've already been able to employ John Trehens full-time again. We're about to send a nutritionist up to train 20 locals up there that are going to work full-time in the store. We'll employ, and they'll go around and show the other Aboriginal people how to shop and lower their sugar intake.
That's fantastic. You said you wanted it to be an international film. And was it important to have American material in it to make it an international film?
Yeah, I mean, I think very early on, once I started reading, it was obvious this is a global issue. I mean, the fact that sugar consumption's gone up 46% worldwide in the last 30 years, it's not just isolated to Australia. As I found in America, it's probably as big a problem, if not more, than Australia. They certainly have a lot more corporate intertwining than we have here. Their food lobbyists and the political system in regards to sugar is quite enormous. But again, we've had a great response from over there. We have sold the film right through the world, but the people that did supersize me in America bought the film, and they're very keen to do a very big campaign there, and all sorts of funny American chat shows and whatnot that are all about to happen. But they're releasing that in America in July, and we're working with groups in America that want to get into the school system as well.
So did you expect that you were going to be sort of travelling with it and living with it quite as much as this?
I guess somewhere in the back of your mind you hope that if it does resonate in some way that would be the dream, I guess, but I certainly didn't expect it to take off as it has, and support we've had from so many organisations, whether it's Diabetes Australia or Jamie Oliver's Foundation. So many people have come on board. Every day something happens where people want to really take the film. You know, today a CEO of a private hospital in Brisbane rang up and he said, "I can fly up next week and I want to show 400 of my staff because we're thinking about changing our hospital food system." You know, and prison the other day, they understand there's a link now between mental behaviour and sugar and mental behaviour, and especially around violence. And so they want to show up to the prisoners as well and look at changing their food policy in there. So those kind of things are not my wildest dream, but I guess the film's come out at a very pertinent time. It's the zeitgeist, everything's coalesced at the right moment, and that's why I guess it's been so well received.
Were there things that you had to leave out that you would like to put in?
Oh, look, the first cut was 3 hours and 45 minutes. Painfully boring and scientific. But I guess it was because I learned all this new information, I just wanted to put it in and show everyone, look, I knew about sugar. And it was really great because I got to show it to quite a few scientists, and even they were saying, good on you, Damon, but it's boring as bad shit, basically. So then we just put a lot more of the entertainment stuff and the silliness and the play, so that it could be more entertaining and appealing. But the good thing is I was able to write the book, so all that sort of information I could put in here, I got to throw into the book and go into much more detail.
So basically, that's where the boring spreadsheet stuff.
Well, yeah, it's a great endorsement for the book. No, but again, the book was made for sort of kids and families as well. It's lots of diagrams and clear messages, and again, some of the proceeds of that are going to Mayuru as well. So that's all.
So I think it's time to hand over to you, because I'm sure you've got lots of questions. And I don't know, do you always get asked about how much sugar is in things now, if you have to become an expert?
Well, we've done 66 Q&As, and there is probably 3 or 4 questions that get asked at every screening, so I'll see this could be different.
Okay.
Alcohol usually gets asked about.
Oh, like sugar, how much sugar there is in beer?
Australian audience.
Right.
And the answer is?
A lot of the alcohol is burnt off in the fermentation process, so Champagnes and dessert wines are very high in sugar, but then red wines and white wines are quite low. Beer has a different type of sugar, maltose, that doesn't turn to fat in your liver. And vodka and soda, those kind of things are good for you. Better for you.
So I think we've got a roving mic somewhere here. I think, yeah, okay, great, sorry. And can I have a question? You can probably see them better than I can.
David?
Yes.
I won't wait for the mic. Congratulations on the film and marrying your chosen profession of acting and production with such an important community message.
Thanks.
Philip has already really answered two things I was going to ask. Where did you get the inspiration to get teaspoons of sugar that the common man can understand? I was going to ask also, have you had backlash from the sugar industry as the Julian Assange of sugar? You've also addressed that. So what I'm saying is you've addressed my questions. My last question is, did you get backlash from the health industry that you've got so much good attention that they've never got for the message they've trying to be selling?
It's a great question. I think mixed reaction from the health community. Some health groups are doing private screenings with Q&As and are very open to it, and inviting lots of doctors and whatnot. I actually got invited to do a talk at the Royal College of Medicine with Jamie Oliver last week, but I was in Dubbo doing a Q&A. I had to politely decline. But the fact that they're willing and open to this message is fantastic. I think in their defence, a lot of the health community, this science is super new. Like really, this metabolism of fructose in the liver really came about in 2010, the end of 2010. So it's taken a long time to reach the mainstream. We've had a couple of doctors come to the Q&As that afterwards have been quite perplexed with how to deal with information because they've been telling people this low-fat message for so many years. So it is going to take a while, I think, to seep through, but I mean, as you can tell, it's happening very quickly, and even doctors are coming on board now and starting to give different advice to their patients, which is great.
We've got some more, sorry, it's a bit, I can't see too well. Yeah, there's one up there, yeah.
Yeah, look, I think we have to acknowledge that we're at the start of a very big conversation as a society, and we had the same chat about tobacco probably 40 years ago, and look how far we've come now in terms of, you know, those kind of triggers and whatnot. But those people in Oregon that I visit in the film, they just finished a pretty amazing study where they took 200 kids and they put them in that brain scanner that I was in, and they showed them commercials. So they'd watch a kids show, and then they'd put commercials for cars, mobile phones, and then junk food. And all the kids' brains lit up when they watched the junk food. And they did a study where they came back a year later, and the kids that lit up more than the others, all of them had put on weight. So we know that these kind of foods are triggering dopamine in the same way nicotine does. So I think we'll get there. It's going to take a long time, obviously, but especially with towards children, that junk food commercials, television, and whatnot, has to happen.
Chris?
First of all, congratulations. That was really digestible, and I think a lot of it, I think a lot of people become really isolated when you, or like they kind of switch off when you talk about it because they're in denial a little bit about the effects of it. I think it was really good. But my question is actually about fruit. So you kind of mentioned obviously that we overconsume when we drink juice.
Yep.
But what's your stance in general about how much fruit intake we should have, and when you say you're on a sugar-free diet, do you include fruit in that?
Great question. Questions about fruit. I think we've got to learn from our mistakes maybe around fat in the 80s, where we kind of demonised all fats and we kind of threw out avocados and nuts, these kind of healthy fats that are great for us, got kind of thrown under the bus. I would hate to think we do that with sugar. I think fruit is essential. I think it's really important, especially for kids. We know from the science now that once the fructose is encased in the fibre of the fruit, it changes the metabolism in our body, and we deal with it in a much healthier way than when it's removed and added as what's called a free sugar. So again, the Australian recommendations at the moment are about 2 pieces a day. Some people can have more than that, but that's kind of seen as the recommended amount, and the sugar is safe in the fruit form.
Up the back there, yeah. Yep.
Not so much memory. I didn't really have anything to measure that on, but certainly my ability to concentrate, my cognitive function was affected. I had a meeting actually a couple of days ago with Black Dog in Sydney, who's the depression group, and they're doing a lot of studies at the moment on the link between sugar and mental behaviour. The Lancet just published a review 2 weeks ago saying that we need to acknowledge the link between food and mental disorder in just the same way that we do food and physical symptoms. So we're going to see a lot of stuff starting to come out in the next few years about this because it's very real. There's been some terrific studies done in prisons, in schools, that have lowered the sugar intake and watched massive changes. But again, it's something the food industry are going to really resist because it opens up a litigious can of worms for them.
But you'd be like, you do lose a little bit of that sharpness, as
Definitely.
you said. So you'd like forget what you may have needed to do, or you had something planned. Like that.
Yeah, more vague. I guess I wasn't as sharp as I was normally. Zoe will testify to that.
Can I ask a quick question? Well, we'll find someone. Have you talked to politicians about this at all?
The only contact we've had from a politician was through, actually a couple of days ago, an MP in Queensland, up in North Queensland, contacted Bupa, who's one of our sponsors, and actually said, what the hell are you doing associating with this film? They're going to be very slow to come around. You know, sugar industry is a massive beast for this country. We're the third biggest exporter in the world. We've had some government bodies, the nutritionist for the Victorian Health Department came and watched it, had a good chat with her afterwards. She was very intrigued by it, but look, it's so intertwined. I mean, the fact that the new Children's Hospital is about to have McDonald's in the foyer and our Premier's endorsed it completely. This is where we're at in terms of that government and food industry kind of intertwining. That's what I think is going to happen at grassroots level. Any movement's going to happen from these kind of Q&As or back, and then the louder we can speak, the more they'll listen. We do have a parliamentary screening in a month, and it's a bipartisan screening, so that'll be very interesting. If there's votes in it, they might take notice.
Apart from obviously the chili, was there anything else that you were absolutely wasn't looking forward to eating, apart from the copious amounts of sugar that you had?
I was probably a bit naive. I was kind of excited at the start. I thought, because I hadn't eaten sugar for so long, I was actually looking forward to the experiment. But by the second day, I was completely not. Especially, I didn't sleep very well the second night. I knew it was going to be a very long 60 days. So, no, I didn't enjoy much of that whole experience, actually, to be honest.
Congratulations on the film. Oh, wow, sorry. It was fantastic, and I think it's just what the doctor ordered for all of us. And I'm so thrilled we got to watch it right after Easter, where I've eaten 600 chocolates over the weekend. I just want to know if the boy from Kentucky had his teeth fixed.
Yeah. Larry. Yeah, I stay in touch with Larry. He's an amazing kid. He did get his teeth done, so he has this kind of amazing all-American porcelain smile now. And we thought about putting it in the end of the film, putting up the photo, but he's still having 5 cans of Mountain Dew a day, so it just didn't feel right. It felt a bit cosmetic to put it up there at the end, but yeah, he is doing well, and I guess 5 cans is better than 12 cans. It's getting better, but yeah.
Damien, your post-production team was magnificent. The entertainment value that our kids got out of the film seeing it 2 weeks ago was extraordinary. Did you go in with the idea of like snorting yourself up your nose and jumping into your brain, and also going into the actor's liver? And
Yeah, thanks, mate. So the special effects team was one guy, which is even more heroic. It was quite an amazing experience for me. Obviously, I'd never worked with special effects before, so we had quite. He was so patient with me in terms of understanding what was possible. But yeah, right from the beginning, I had pinned on my wall. It was a quote from Oscar Wilde. It said, "If you want to tell people the truth, you've got to make them laugh, or they'll kill you." And I thought that was even more appropriate dealing with the $50 billion sugar industry. But yeah, it was about how to make it entertaining, how you push the boundaries, what hasn't been done before in terms of documentary, because I didn't want kids to see it or families to see it. And so I guess that was a bit of a risk to a degree. It was like I could have failed gloriously, but that was, so I just wanted to try something different. And again, how do you make the science, which can be very dry, how do you make it accessible and make it kind of fun, so that I guess you're being entertained, there's a message slightly underneath.
but it also raised the film to very much an international level, so it could be put across many markets as well.
Yeah, that was another point, to make it slick, to make it compete. And the guy who did the effects, Seth Lane is his name, he worked on Wolverine and Superman, so he really does know his stuff, and it was a real pleasure to work with him.
Yeah, and getting talking heads onto, cereal boxes and things, that was kind of, he sort of dissolved quite a lot of that. That was quite neat the way he did that too.
Yeah, it was, trying to explain that to some of the scientists when you're in their office in Alabama, explaining it as you're putting up, because Joe and I, the cameraman, we travelled around, just the two of us, we went through 17 states, 11 states in 17 days, but we had to take a portable green screen with us as well, so we'd be in these tiny offices. I'd have to put up the green screen, I had a portable steam iron that I bought at the supermarket, so I'd be trying to get all the creases out while I was talking to the science professor. Joe would be rigging up the camera and putting the lights on, and I'm trying to pretend I'm a serious filmmaker talking about sugar science. But yeah, we got there in the end, but it was certainly guerrilla filmmaking at its best.
I was just going to ask you about the diet that you were on before you started, and then of course you came back to it. Who were the influences of you formulating that diet that you have?
Certainly Zoe, my girlfriend, was probably the one, but yeah, it's interesting. I don't know quite what you'd call it. I guess we just try and eat real food, that's the bottom line. Just try and keep it really simple. We eat minimal sort of processed foods, and that includes white breads. We try and cut that down, I suppose, and just make sure there's a balance of healthy fats and very little sort of refined carbohydrates. Just still have carbohydrates, but in fruits and vegetables, and then just try and eat, snack on nuts and things like that, and don't be fearful of healthy fats, because they actually fill you up and make you feel satiated, and we've kind of demonised them, which I think is a big shame.
I guess where I'm coming from is that you've got a lot of diets out there that are popular at the moment, like paleo and high fat, low carb, and all those different groups. And just wondering, which one you sort of side with if you have to.
I don't know. I think paleo, they don't have cheese or legumes, so I certainly, I'm not giving up cheese for anyone. And probably maybe lower carb, and that's the point. I think we are eating far too many carbohydrates. We can't deal with it. That's why we have such prevalence of type 2 diabetes. It's a carbohydrate metabolism problem, and we've just been inundated through some sort of interesting findings in the 70s, as we mentioned in the film. So I try and have less than most people do, and most people I know that do that feel much better and get healthier.
Has there been interest from Asian countries such as India and China in the film?
Yeah, that's a great question. There has been, we're sort of negotiating deals with them at the moment, because obviously these are very prevalent illnesses in those regions that didn't exist 20, 30 years ago, especially things like type 2 diabetes just didn't exist in China, or obesity really before 1990. So it's only once they've implemented these Western diets that the problems have occurred. So they're certainly very interested. I think they're more interested because Wolverine's in our film. I think that's why they're starting.
And the sand, can you just talk a little bit about that?
Yes, that's a lovely girl named Marika Walsh, and she did some a short film for Rob Connolly's The Turning, that film, and she's a sand artist, so all that art that she did was actually, a lot of it was a cast of sugar as well, and she would do the sculptures herself, and then we just sort of take the photos and film, but she's a super talented girl.
Hi, I just wanted to know when you were selecting your foods that you were eating, were there any foods where you thought there's no way there's going to be sugar in this, and it shocked you that there was?
Oh yeah, probably that was the whole, when I was trying to work out what the narrative would be of the story, I was in a supermarket and I picked up a can of tomato soup and it had 8 teaspoons of sugar in it, and that was that's what got the thinking of, I wonder if I could just eat these foods with the hidden sugars in there. The other good one is that 1 tablespoon of barbecue sauce has 2 teaspoons of sugar in it. Yes. I think it's brilliant. Yeah, I think it's brilliant. I mean, Stephanie Alexander does that as well here in Australia. She's got an amazing program going. That's probably the most exciting for us is that we've got this school study guide that we've done from grade 5 to 11. The school gets an action kit, so they get a book and a DVD. There's posters for the classroom. You can order at the tuck shop. We've had over 1,000 schools sign up for that already. So, very excited about what that might lead to in the coming years, because it's the start, like I said, it's the start of a really big conversation.
I was just going to say, isn't the problem, when you go to McDonald's, you know you're going to eat shit.
That's right.
Isn't the problem, I'm shocked by the middle aisles of the supermarket. I didn't know I was killing myself quite so fast. I mean,
that's the point of the film, I suppose. Yeah, we all know if you have junk food, but I think that's where some of these companies need to be more accountable, because they put a bee and some flowers and a beautiful sunset on the front of their packet and it says nature's bounty on it, and we think it's healthy and it's actually full of sugar, and I guess that's the point of the film, is to read labels and be more aware of what you're actually putting in your body.
you've got to make the labels bigger.
Well, isn't it there is some move in the bank out there to get sort of bigger added sugar labels on
That's
the
right.
food?
Yeah, they're pushing for that at the moment. Again, some of the excuses the food industry have come up with are fantastic, but they're trying to get a new line that says added sugars as well. So at the moment, the label says sugars, so you don't know if it's a natural sugar like lactose in yogurt or it's an added sugar which isn't as good for you. So again, it's sort of made quite ambiguous. There's a reason that they're tough to read, and that suits the industry.
Congratulations on the film, and congratulations on your daughter.
Yeah,
gorgeous.
thank you.
I assume she's still quite little. How are you
16
going
months,
to? Yeah. How are you going to? Have
Deal
her
with
eat-
his bodies?
Have her eat a healthy diet, but not be obsessed with worrying about food and calories.
Great question. We discuss this all the time. I certainly don't want to make out sugar to be this sort of evil thing that she's never allowed to have. What worked for Zoe, which is great, we're going to try, is that when Zoe was younger, her mum would make homemade chocolates as well, but use whole fruit as the sweetener, and almost establish a benchmark sweetness on her palate. And then hopefully, if she has something more refined, it's kind of too overwhelming and strong for her. So that's our very idealistic approach. I'll let you know in 3 years how we go. We hit the kids' party circuit.
Hi.
Yes, hello.
Damien?
Where are you?
So it's really a bit dark.
There, yes.
Yeah.
Being a huge fan of Stephanie Alexander and
Yes.
her fabulous programs with school children,
Yeah.
growing their own veggies, carrots and eating them, she is really into the raw food. I would think that if you can have a link with her, she's got enormous power, is working with Aboriginals in Northern Territory, and you've got to start with the children, because it's the mothers that fill the trolleys with junk, not the kids.
Yep. Absolutely. Totally agree. And the contact with Stephanie's already underway, so thank you. Yes.
Hi. Just over the last couple of weeks since we came to the screening in Camberwell.
It's your second time.
Second time.
Thank you.
No problems. Brought lots of our clients and our kids to come along. I've noticed some momentum growing with the film, so congratulations. Initially there was only a couple of screenings and they weren't doing any during the school holidays, and I was thinking, what is going on? It's Easter, they should be showing these during Easter. So congratulations on that, that's awesome. You mentioned that, well, kind of breezed over, there wasn't too much backlash from the food industry initially. Now that you're gaining momentum, have you had any kind of undercurrent from the Nutrition Council of Australia, like they've come after Pete Evans with his movement?
I mean, I think that's right. They don't, food industry themselves won't come out. They actually pay journalists, or they have mouthpieces, whether it's a dietitian or a nutritionist, that will actually speak to the film.
Yeah.
Again, no, it's been strangely quiet. I've had a couple of things, but I certainly haven't been trolled anywhere near as much as I thought I would. I was a lot more in the making of the film. And just to share with everyone else, we have actually been approached by 3 or 4 now very large food companies that rely on sugar. They've asked for a private screening. If I do a Q&A as well, they really determine, they want to know what the public wants, how can they evolve moving forward. So I haven't accepted to do any of that yet. I think it's very kind of, it's strange turf. You've got to be careful how you handle yourself there. In fact, some people in America that I met said, look, don't do it, because even if you accept a cab charge from them, they can say that they are now employing you, and we're working with Damien on brighter solutions. So they have their sort of their ways of dealing with it. But by the same token, another part of me does want to go, well, hey, can we help? but some of them are soft drink manufacturers, so unfortunately there's not much they can do really, other than selling water. But which I'll happily go and tell them. But yeah, look, it's been surprising. I think they know it's coming, you know, and it's capitalism, and they want to survive, and they give the public what they want, and they want low sugar. So we're going to see a lot of low sugar products starting to come out.
Is that a concern that people will switch and they'll
Definitely.
push all these zero sugar
Totally,
diet
yeah.
products which actually just add to the
So
problem?
absolutely, I think it's,
Yeah,
we've got to look at
that's
what they're replacing the sugar with in these products. And again, the message of the film is shop the perimeter of the supermarket, keep it real. Like when you keep those real foods, you can't go wrong. And your body knows how to handle it.
We've just got time for about one more question now. So, there's someone who
has been singling for a long time.
Sorry, this is probably more of a statement. As a parent of 3 children, and I'm a qualified personal trainer. We've been taught this a long time ago about low fat, and the industry is crazy with the amount of people that think a low fat diet is better for them. I just applaud you for this movie, and I hope that everyone comes to see it because the information is there and it is so true. And the catchphrases too, I noticed too with a lot of the products that you were pulling off the shelf that were in the middle section and not organic. I know dried fruits are healthy, but everything in moderation. And I think as a mother, filling your lunchbox for your children, you want to make sure that they're nourished during the day and they're going to eat the things that you put in there for them. It's low fat, high sugar. A lot of foods, for like instant snack foods, are very high in sugar, and we're giving our kids way too much sugar. And I also just want to add, it's funny, Coca-Cola now have a green label stevia, healthy Coca-Cola drink.
It's called Coke Life.
Yes, it's called
but
that.
even a 600ml bottle still has 10 teaspoons of sugar.
Yeah, unreal.
I don't buy anything that's marketed to children.
No.
No. They say it's great for kids, I don't buy it.
No.
It's high sugar and they...
Well, thanks everyone for coming, really appreciate the support.